Hello, hi, this is Patricia from Healing Creations, and I am just here with Cathal from Frames Etc. So we're going to talk to you about framing prints particularly. And this is the lovely Cathal. So we're out in Frames Etc. in Clondalkin, just beside Clondalkin Village, beside Tesco's if you're in Ireland. But if you're anywhere in the world, because I know a lot of you buy my work from all over the world, we're just going to talk a little bit about framing. And people often ask me, you know, what's the best way to frame? Where can I get frames? What do you think about pre-made frames?
Depends on the quality of them, I suppose. So
Yeah.
I think you mentioned the Reba frames in your blog,
They're
and
from
they
a certain big company. Yeah,
they serve a
frame.
purpose, but
Yeah.
they won't last. So
I agree.
the perspex is pretty low quality perspex, and the
Yeah.
frames are MDF. So
that's for anyone that the frames of this, it's a big Scandinavian company's frames, but they have perspex and not glass, so which means that it's gets scratchy, doesn't it?
yeah, if you wipe it at all, it's going to get scratched, and it's also going to have a lot of static on it.
Yeah,
So it's
and
going
I've
to
also
attract
found
dust.
they're made of MDF, so that they bend.
They'll warp
if
at
they're
the top
over
and
a
the bottom
radiator
over
or-
time.
yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it's
So
probably
definitely
not
go to your local framer, supporting local business, no matter where you are in the world, and especially at the moment. So Cole's just going to walk through maybe the options around framing. So you can see one of my prints here. So we'll use this for today's exercise. So this is the new prints. They're a bigger print than I used to do. So these are new, and I'm delighted to have them. I think they'd be lovely in any home or meditation space. So a mount is the card that you put around the print,
artwork, yeah.
around the artwork. It's called a mat in America, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the piece of rigid card, I suppose, that interacts directly with the artwork. So what Trisha's done here is she's left a quite substantial amount of bleed on the print. So that can work as a mount. So we can literally just put a frame directly against it.
So the bleed means the white space.
The white space around the outside.
Yeah, and that's lovely. And when you do that, Cathal, you can see that frame has like a bevel.
Yeah.
Here, and that works really well, doesn't it, when you do that?
The
if you
bevel,
put it
in the
flat-
absence of a mount, the bevel is highly recommended because it'll lead you into the print. So it'll actually
Draw
come
your
up against
eye
the
in.
artwork
Yeah.
directly to there, and it'll draw your eye, and it'll give the artwork some depth.
And so if you had a flat frame, if you put a flat frame up, you can see the difference there now. See that? So, yeah, it really does. It looks much flatter, doesn't it? So, yeah, I definitely recommend. We'd definitely recommend.
So a beveled or a scoop
beveled.
frame, something that will lead your eye into the artwork.
Yeah. And then the next choice you have is using a mount or a mat.
A mat or a
And there's
mount,
loads of colours to choose from. Look at your big pile there.
See if lots of different colours, yeah.
Like
It's
the
only a
words-
fraction of them. There's hundreds of
Yeah.
colours that you can
Literally
order in
every
specifically.
colour you can imagine available in those mounts. So, yeah.
So some people would like to have a wider border around the artwork. So the most simple option is to just use a white mount, and you can then dictate the width of it
Yeah.
by cutting the aperture out. So it can give you that little bit more of a breathing space between your actual frame and the artwork.
And then you can have a double mount as well, can't
Yeah,
you?
so a lot of the time, if we're going to go to the trouble of mounting it, you're better off probably to have a mount underneath. So ordinarily that would only be like 5mm or so of the colour, and it tends to be a contrasting colour against the upper mount.
Yeah. And we've kind of picked that colour, that kind of blue colour.
So you're just picking up on the
on the
artwork.
colours
There's
from the
there's
artwork.
no exact match, but
Yeah.
you can understand it picks up.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a nice bright option with the double mounts, and the nice wide upper mount as well.
Yeah.
And to change the mood of it then completely, you could use a black inner mount, which will pick up on all the outlines that Trish has done and all her intricate work. And you can see then that completely changed the mood. I don't dislike it, it's quite classy looking, but it looks completely different to our first option.
Yeah. So it really depends on your room, the room that you're in. Like look around at the other frames that are in the room and the other pictures and the mood you want to achieve in the space that you're in. So that's one thing to really consider when you're framing.
So I'm a big believer as well, though, that if you can make the individual art piece look nice, it will look nice no matter where you put it. So you don't necessarily need to have all white frames or all black frames or anything. You can do lots of different coloured frames.
Yeah.
And it seems to be the way people are going now. They'll have a wall with lots of different...
I have that myself in my own house. I'll actually put a picture in. I have a wall full of artwork, and they all have different frames, but there's some that kind of match each other, so they're not completely random, but it is quite random. Like and it's beautiful.
So the thing about the technicalities of the mount is that these are all cut. So I don't know if Trish can zoom in there. These are actually cut at an angle, so they're cut at 52 degrees. So it means that you don't have a shadow against the artwork. There's no it leads your eye in the same way as the bevel-shaped frame will lead your eye into the artwork. The bevel and a double mount with a double bevel will lead your eye into the artwork as well. And what they say is that this and this and this should always be the same width. And a lot of people like at the bottom to leave an extra maybe 10 or 15 mil of width for the bottom mount. And that's called a pedestal mount then. So if you're looking at artwork, depending on the type of print, sometimes if it's equal all the way around, the bottom part will actually look thinner. So to trick people's eyes, if you leave a small bit more at the bottom, then it actually looks to be equal all the way around.
Yeah, and it really makes a huge difference, doesn't it? And my bigger prints like this, they'll come rolled up in a tube, so you will take them to be mounted yourself. Now the smaller prints that I have on my website will come like this. Sorry, I can't reach. I'm too small. I'm so small. They will come mounted like this, so you'll already have the mount on the smaller size print, because I can ship them without bending, whereas the big ones you just couldn't possibly ship them without bending in post. So you can see, again, there's a little bit of the white edge left, and that's a bevel edge. And then you just choose your frame, bringing it to your framer and choosing your frame. And you're just going to pick up the colours from each painting. So you could even go with a green inner mount on this piece, or there's so many options, really.
So this is an interesting little one here.
Yeah, let's look at this little one.
So we've got lots of options here. So
it's a little chakra. So we've got every colour of the rainbow here.
We did have a gold mount, so that's one option. You can put a little gold mount in underneath some white.
That's nice.
And that's picking up on the outline. We'd probably use a slightly different shade of gold as the inner mount, just to pick up on Trish's artwork there. You could also use maybe, we haven't tried this already, so we're just having a look.
Play.
And I'd always check maybe 3 or 4 colours and give the customer
It's always good to experiment,
choice.
isn't it? And your framer will have all these, they'll have samples of all these colours. So go in and really have a good look and think about what way you'd like it framed for yourself. But it's so just hopefully that answers some of your questions, and just a massive thank you to Cathal. Cathal, can you give me your details for you're on, what's the name of this road?
Convent Road in Clondalkin Village,
in Clondalkin Village, right beside Tesco's, just upstairs beside the little hairdressers.
You should be able to find me easily enough with Frames Etc on Facebook. I'm fairly
Yeah,
prominent.
You're really good on Facebook.
Not so good on Instagram, but I need to change that.
So listen, thank you so much for chatting to me today, Cathal, and hopefully that answers a lot of people's questions about framing. Okay, bye.